Welcome to FinSight's Wealthier Way, brought to you by Finvesting. This is your go to podcast for decoding financial jargons, breaking down market movements, and simplifying wealth building strategies for everyday investors like you. Whether you are planning your first SIP, navigating market volatility, or dreaming of early retirement, we are here to guide you with actionable insights, minus the jargons. I am Narendran, your host and founder of Finvestin, and I believe financial wisdom should be accessible to everyone, not just the experts. So, plug in and power up your financial journey because wealth isn't just about how much you have, it's about how smartly you grow it. Quick reminder, play this episode at 1.5x for a better experience if you're short on time. Today, we are tackling something that's been on my mind a lot lately: retirement. But not the old school work till 60, then sit on a rocking chair kind of retirement. We are talking about the retirement revolution happening right now. Ever heard of micro retirement or the FIRE movement? Or wondered why so many young professionals are questioning the traditional retirement path? Look, I'll be honest. At 35, retirement planning used to make me feel like I was admitting I'm getting old. But here's the thing: smart retirement planning isn't about age, it's about freedom. And who doesn't want that, right? In this episode, we will delve into why waiting until 60 might not be the smartest strategy, how young Indians are reinventing retirement, practical ways to plan regardless of your age, and the psychological shift needed to think differently about your financial future. So, whether you are 25 or 45, stay with me as we revolutionize how we think about retirement on today's episode of Finsight's Wealthier Way. Let's start by shattering a big myth. Retirement is not about sitting idle and doing nothing. It's about having the freedom to choose what you want to do, when you want to do it, and how you want to work, all on your own terms. I remember when I first quit my software job to pursue my MBA, my relatives were shocked. You are leaving a stable job? Has he lost his mind? These are the words they whispered at family gatherings. Then again, during COVID, I took another break to freelance. And finally, after discovering my passion for personal finance, I completely shifted my career. Were these periods retirement? Not in the traditional sense, but they were what experts now call micro retirement: intentional breaks ranging from weeks to months where you step back, recharge, and often pivot. During these breaks, I focused on growth and learning new skills, attending seminars, doing freelance work in areas that excited me, and exploring new places, all without the constraint of corporate structure. This concept is absolutely catching fire among Gen Z and millennials in India, and for good reason. Think about it. The average Indian now lives to 70 to 75 years, but many of us start developing lifestyle diseases like diabetes and hypertension in our 40s and 50s. So, if you wait until 60 to enjoy life, are you really maximizing your healthiest years? Here's a thought experiment. Imagine two parallel lives. In one, you work non-stop until 60, then retire with a substantial corpus but declining health. In other, you work strategically, take intentional breaks, build multiple income streams, and have the freedom to choose your path from your 40s. Which sounds more appealing? The retirement revolution isn't about escaping work, it's about redefining it. It's not just about that magical fire number that lets you sit on a beach forever. It's about meticulous planning for freedom, purpose, and fulfillment. Now, let's talk about this fire movement: financial independence, retire early. It's been gaining massive traction in India, and I'll admit I was skeptical at first. Another Western concept that won't work in India. That's what my thinking. But after diving deeper, I realized it's actually perfectly suited for our context, with some Indian adaptations, of course. The core idea is simple: save aggressively, often 50 to 70% of your income, invest wisely, and achieve financial independence much earlier than traditional retirement age. But here's where practicality kicks in. And this is important. With India's inflation rate averaging 5 to 7%, your purchasing power diminishes significantly over time. Let me put this in perspective. A monthly expense of 50,000 today could balloon to more than 1.5 lakhs in just 20 years. That's inflation at work. And it's why traditional retirement savings often fall short. The math is eye opening. If you are currently spending 12 lakhs annually, in 20 years, that same lifestyle will cost you approximately 38 lakhs per year. To sustain that, you need a corpus of around 10 crores for living 20 years. I know that number sounds terrifying, but here's where the FIRE approach helps. By starting early and leveraging the power of compounding, these numbers become much more achievable. Let me share a quick story of my client. She started investing 7 years back with around 25k monthly from her first month's salary in mutual funds. Now she is 28 and she has built a substantial portfolio of around 40 lakhs. That helped her to quit her high stress corporate job and start her freelancing job, something she had always wanted to do. She is not retired in the traditional sense, but she is financially independent enough to choose her path. The key insight here: your 20s to 40s are prime earning years, ideal for taking calculated risks, building diverse income streams, and growing wealth. Relying solely on one employer until 60 is increasingly becoming an outdated approach. Let's shift gears and talk about this fascinating concept of micro retirements that I mentioned earlier. Unlike traditional retirement, micro retirement are intentional breaks throughout your career. Think of it as pressing the refresh button on your life from time to time. And let me tell you, it works wonders. During my own micro retirement, I discovered passion I never knew I had. But I also learned that these breaks require careful planning. They are not impulsive decisions, they are strategic passes. The data shows that millennials and Gen Z workers are increasingly adopting this approach to combat workplace stress and burnout, and it makes perfect sense. The modern workplace is intense: constant connectivity, high expectations, and the pressure to always be on. But here's where it gets interesting. Many people report returning to work more motivated, focused, and creative after these breaks. So it's not just good for individual well being, it can actually enhance productivity. Of course, there are challenges. Not all employers support extended breaks, and re entering the workforce can sometimes be difficult. This is why financial preparedness is crucial. I always advise my clients to build what I call a freedom fund before taking a micro retirement, essentially almost 8 to 12 months of expenses saved up, separate from emergency funds and long term investments. The beauty of this approach is that it challenges the binary thinking of either working full time or fully retired. Life doesn't have to be so black and white. There is a whole spectrum of possibilities in between. Investment strategies for new retirement. Now let's get practical. How exactly do you fund this new vision of retirement? Whether you are aiming for complete fire or planning strategic micro retirements, the investment approach matters tremendously. No matter what stage of life you are in right now, there is always an optimal investment strategy for your time frame. The earlier you start, the more you can leverage the magic of compounding. But even if you are starting later, targeted strategies can help you build a substantial corpus. The key is balancing growth and security. With 15 to 20 years to go, equity investments through SIPs in mutual fund should still be a significant part of your portfolio. As you approach retirement, gradually shift towards debt instruments to reduce risk. Hybrid mutual funds are particularly useful here. You can choose from aggressive hybrid funds to more conservative ones depending on your risk appetite. Don't overlook government backed schemes as well. The NPS offers market linked returns with potential upside of up to 15% plus significant tax benefits, but in the older tax versions. If you are more conservative in approach, consider PPF and other saving schemes like senior citizen saving schemes during your retirement age. One strategy I have seen work well in creating separate investment buckets, one for short term goals and another specifically for long term retirement. This mental segregation prevents you from dipping into your retirement funds for other purposes. And here's something powerful: step up SIPs. As your income grows, increase your systematic investment plan contributions annually. Even bumping up from 10 to 15% step up rate can dramatically accelerate your corpus building. And coming to the psychology of retirement planning. Before we wrap up, I want to talk about something equally important but often overlooked: the psychology behind retirement planning. It's fascinating how many people avoid serious retirement planning despite understanding its importance. When I speak with clients about this reluctance, the patterns are revealing. Many say things like, I'm too young to worry about retirement now, or that's something to think about later. But this psychological resistance is not just about procrastination, it's often about how we frame retirement in our minds. The biggest psychological barrier is what I call the later mindset. We tell ourselves, I'll save more later when I earn more, or I'll figure it out later when I'm older. But later rarely comes, and when it does, the power of compounding has been significantly diminished. The mindset shift that transforms retirement planning is simple yet profound. Retirement planning is not about preparing for the end, it's about creating options for your future self. Another common mental block is seeing retirement as an all or nothing proposition. We imagine completely stopping work at a specific age rather than gradually transitioning to more fulfilling work on our own terms. What if instead of seeing retirement as the finish line, we viewed financial independence as the starting line for our most authentic life? This shift from retirement planning to financial freedom planning makes all the difference. It transforms a distant, somewhat depressing concept into an exciting goal worth pursuing now. This connects beautifully with what we discussed in our definition of rich life episode. Remember when we talked about how true wealth is not just a number in your bank account, but the freedom to make choices aligned with your values? That's exactly what we are talking about here: designing retirement as part of your rich life vision. And here's something fascinating: studies show that having a purpose beyond leisure is crucial for a fulfilling retirement. Those who retire to something rather than from something report much higher life satisfaction. So, as you plan, don't ask how much money do I need, but also what kind of life do I want to create. Maybe it's running that farmhouse Airbnb you have always dreamed about, or perhaps it's consulting in your own field of expertise, but only on projects you genuinely care about. The beauty of starting this planning early is that you have time to experiment, adjust, and build not just financial capital, but also the skills and connections for your next chapter. We have covered a lot of ground today, from redefining what retirement actually means to exploring micro retirements, understanding the FIRE concept, examining practical investment strategies, and shifting our psychological approach to planning. The key takeaways: first, traditional retirement at 60 is increasingly outdated given our longer but necessarily healthier lifespans and the reality of inflation. Second, financial independence is not just about a magic number. It's about creating options and freedom to choose your path. And finally, whether through micro retirements or complete career pivots, the line between work and retirement is becoming beautifully blurred. Remember, retirement is not about sitting idle. It's about having the freedom to engage in purposeful activity on your own terms. It's not about age, it's about agency. So, what's one step you can take today toward your financial freedom? Perhaps it's starting that SIP you have been postponing, Or maybe it's just beginning the conversation about what your ideal lifestyle looks like down the road. Whatever it is, don't fall into the later mindset trap. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. If you found value in today's episode, I would be incredibly grateful if you would hit that subscribe button to Finsight's Wealthier Way. We are on all major podcast platforms, and subscribing ensures you never miss our weekly financial insights. Have questions about your retirement planning? Drop them in the comments or reach out on WhatsApp at 799 555 6825. And if there's a financial topic you'd like me to cover in future, you can ping me that as well. I would love to hear your suggestions. Until next time, this is Naren reminding you that wealth isn't just about money. It's about creating the freedom to live life on your own terms. Happy wealth building.